face. Spreading my name all over the place. For doing the thing you want to do.
Like the Beatles?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Good as Presley?
Yeah.
Michael Jackson wasn't just a music legend. He was a phenomenon that inspired an unparalleled level of devotion from fans around the world.
He's from another planet. He's not human. He's too magnificent to be human. He's sent from God for us.
Nobody can move like Mira.
I don't know why, because she's
She's our role model. She's the best. Love her.
We're here for Zoe!
So scary, like you better watch out.
She's pop star royalty.
Rumi's voice is just incredible. Like,
it brings us to tears.
Let's hear you sing along to this one. Some of you, all right. Some of you sang along, and the rest of you are lying. You totally know that song. This one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have some fast-paced people coming up and sharing some quick thoughts with you. But the Canadian ecosystem is built on engagement that drives loyalty and advocacy and growth. The following speakers are bringing breakthroughs, moments where culture became a differentiator, when members became fans and super fans, and when community identity fueled that expansion. So we're going to use mics 1 and 2 for this, just so you know, and we'll pass them along. First, I would like to invite Stephanie Smith, the Executive Director for America's Credit Union Museum. Stephanie.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I know that standing up here representing a museum, you're kind of wondering, what's going on with that? We're talking about Metallica, we're talking about mergers and activism. But what I can tell you from the museum standpoint, those very first credit union members, they were the true disruptors. They're the ones that pooled their resources, came together, and created a new financial solution for the people in their community. That was revolutionary. When Alphonse Desjardins came to Manchester, New Hampshire, it was not sentimental, it was activism in action. So from that standpoint, the museum is here because it's important to share the legacy and to capture the legacy and to have it in the museum. And it's not just about those origin stories. We're telling stories about what's happening today. Our most recent exhibits are Herstory, and there's Herstory women here in this room today. We refreshed the African American Voices exhibit to talk about the work that AACU is doing today. And then just this last year, we launched our Unsung Heroes exhibit, where we talked about the people that did the everyday work of credit unions that maybe aren't getting recognized. But I know that there's an unsung hero in the back of the room here today as well. So my challenge to you is to look around the room and recognize that the people that you're surrounded by are the people that are writing the stories today of the credit union movement. And it isn't about things in glass cases and dusty boxes of artifacts. We've got plenty of that. But it's about sharing the story of what the credit union difference is. So I have a challenge for all of you, and specifically for those of you that have been up here and used the words legacy, story, charter, or that your last name was credit union. You all need to share your story at America's Credit Union Museum because it's important to share the difference. Not of just why we started, but of how we've adapted going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now I would like to invite Dr. Brian Branch. Oh, there he is in the back. He is the board chair for Via Stella Foundation, and then Rafał Matusiak, the president of NASCAS in Poland.
Good morning. I bring you a short story from Poland, and it will be a story about the war and about our activity, because all we're facing with this war and all we can support poor people from Ukraine. First of all, what we do is possible thanks to people at credit unions. And thanks to that we are together. We are a big credit union family. Your generosity and open hearts mean we continue to raise funds for our activities. Our involvement in Poland based 100% on volunteerism means the funds raised here are transformed into tangible aid. We provide this aid both in Poland and send aid to Ukraine, to fighting Ukraine. Nothing brings us more joy than the smiles of children who, thanks to you, receive new books, meals, or the opportunity to visit interesting places and, at least for a moment, forget that they are in a foreign country because there is a war going on and people are dying. Poland's migrant population is dominated by women and children. That is why we've organized free gynecological visits for these women in several locations. This is crucial because the level of medical care in Ukraine is lower than in Poland, and doctors often encounter diseases that have long been forgotten in our country, but which are relatively easy to treat. Thanks to our help, our together help, new children are also born in Poland, healthy children. From other perspective, try to imagine suddenly having no access to electricity, water, and heating. It's hard, isn't it? And in Ukraine, this is everyday life. Darkness, cold, and frozen apartments. And here, too, we are providing help. We've delivered a whole host of generators. We were providing electricity to apartments, to hospitals, and many other places. You can't imagine how beautiful it is to see the gratitude of people who dreamed of heating up a meal or charging their phone and calling their husbands on the front lines. It's very hard and actually impossible to describe. And all this is possible thanks to you and thanks to my wonderful employees from Poland Credit Union Movement. 4 of them are here with me today. Grzegorz, Monika, Robert i Tomasz. They are the ones who make the dollars collected here in the United States turn into ambulances, power generators, medical kits, and many, many other things. Thank you for your applause for my colleagues. Their presence here with us today is also a joint effort. People like Brian, like Susan, Stephen, Marshall, Mike, and Zach put so much heart into our work together. This work is bearing beautiful fruits. May God bless you. And the last part, at the beginning of this last sentence, let me say first, I'm very sorry. But there is no place for diplomacy in war. There is no place for polite phrases. So forgive me for saying this. We will not give into these Russian bastards, and we will finally That's not the end. And we will finally kick their asses and get them fuck out of Ukraine. Thank you very much.
This gentleman is a very hard act to follow. You know, it's been a very long war, and people are ground down, and people are tired. And very often on this side of the Atlantic, people ask me, why do the Ukrainians continue to fight with the odds stacked against them as they are? So I asked our Ukrainian friends and our colleagues, okay guys, why is it you continue to fight? And I got three answers. Some people said, you know, this is an attempt to erase our country. And so we're trying to preserve our country. And when I think back about the history of Ukraine since the end of the Soviet Union, I remember younger generations that tried to create their independent state, the Orange Revolution, where they tried to resist the power of the oligarchs and the domination from the East, the Maidan uprising, again, where they showed their desire to integrate with the West, not to go back to the East, and now the war. So that's strategic, but to many it sounds very abstract. Now, some of the Ukrainians I talked to said, this is very personal, because we get over 100 missile strikes a day. I've lost family members, they destroyed our homes, they've destroyed our cities, and that sounds anecdotal. But when you take that to a scale of over half the population, it has impact. Now, today when I ask the question, I get a very compelling response from many Ukrainians, where they say, we have now had the opportunity to see what it's like to live in the occupied territories under Russian control. And we see executions of civilians. We see families that are relocated away from their homes and sent to other parts in Russia. We see children taken away from their families and put with Russian families to be raised as Russians. And so we don't want to go back. We don't want to submit to that kind of domination. So the war continues. And what we see as this war continues is that civilians suffer. People lose their homes, people lose family members. People are afraid to let their children outdoors for fear that they'll step on mines. So children live underground and go to school underground, or their families take them to Poland, where they can be safe and they can get an education. And so that's the work that Via Stella does, is to support that medical infrastructure in Ukraine, refugees in Poland. And today you talked about credit union narcissism, guilty as charged. Because when you talk about people helping people and making a difference, those of you in this room that have been on this journey with us and have volunteered and contributed to the work that Via Stella does, you have truly made an impactful difference in the lives of these people. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Brian, did you teach him that phrase for all of us? Guilty. I love it. Now I'd like to invite one of my favorite people up here, Lois Kitch, Chair, African Cooperative Development Foundation, and George Umbato, CEO of Acoska, to join us. Tell us how they're creating communities.
There you are.
Lois is the head of our cult.
So it's very difficult to follow that last presentation because very few of us, we all have problems. We cannot imagine having problems like they see in the Ukraine. And I've had many fights with family members over this situation. So keep up the good work. I'm going to be very brief, but I will say, what is the idea of a cult? So a cult to me is a group of people that have novice or novel ideas and have extreme devotion. What is culture? Culture is the idea of how we do things together, how we live together. Credit unions have cultures. And that culture is really good or it's less than good. So let me tell you about a cult. I've been a member of a cult for 46 years. And a lot of you are members of that cult too. How many of the in this room are DEs? There y'all go. So the DE program is an immersion program into the why of credit unions. And the idea of DE, there are 8 programs globally. I've had the opportunity, I just counted, to be a part of 100 DE programs over the years. You can tell I've been a DE 45 years, that's a long time. And the one thing that happens with DE, it's an immersion program, and some of you go to DE and you get it, and you embrace it. But DE is not 6 days in Madison, or Florida, or California, or Kenya, or where you go to DE. DE is the network of people coming together after the program to build community. So let's think about DEs. Did you know that a DE went to Poland and helped start the Polish credit union system, Miss Betty Kernighan, many years ago? Do you know there is a DE by the name of Max Villaranga and his wife Erin, I don't know if they're here, who are working on a project to build a school for disabled children in Kenya? There is a DE by the name of Richard from Cameroon, whose DE project is to build peace between the factions, the warring factions in that country. When there is conflict, they say, bring on the credit union man to help try to solve this. So when you think about culture, think about sending people to DE. But don't just send them for 6 days. Expect something from them when they come back. Expect them to come back and understand the ideals of authenticity. I heard that word today. I heard the word that, yes, we have about 42% of the population in America, which may or may not be exactly true, are members of credit unions. Yet we only have 10% of the assets. Now, I choose to believe that's because we serve low-wage working families. If you take all the money in the big banks, a lot of them are from very affluent consumers. So my question to you, are you part of the cult? Do you want to be part of the cult to build the culture in your credit union?
Thank you, Lois. I'll say that for me, everybody here belongs to a cult. A cult is when you have certain common beliefs, and the fact that you've come into this room with a cult leader, Brandy, Sue, to make sure that we believe in certain principles. The World Council has 9 operating principles that supporters use the credit union to empower people around us. And they're in 3 segments, looking at democracy, looking at membership, and looking at communities. And cults work within the communities. I like to say that for the continent of Africa, institutions that are present, Africa has 54 countries. We have to work so hard to persuade many of those leaders across the continent and governments state actors and non-state actors to believe in the power of credit union system. I have to support and work with partners like African American Credit Union Coalition, who comes with us to help promote this principle, or Bill Cheney, who sits with us, with the President of Kenya, look at his eyes and say, your country will develop if you use a credit union system. And the President say, oh, by the way, William, my namesake, I'm also a member of a credit union. So the challenge that we face around cult, while various scholars may look at it in a negative way, for us as a credit union system, we are taking the part that a cult is we are stronger together. The world is resetting. There is no better place to reset the world through the credit union system. And I'd like to thank your team for continuously bringing us together to share things that at times are difficult to talk about, yet they're important. Not everybody had to be in this room, but they felt it's good to be in this room because of our common belief. Thank you.
So I know, wait one sec. I know time is up, and I know but 30 years ago, a very young DE sat at a table, and her job during her final project was to teach the chairman of the Korean credit union system to sing Sweet Home Alabama. And 30 years later, that young lady is standing in front of you in the name of Brandy Stankovic.
It's true. They put the young girl in the. I know. I got tasked. Finally, our final individuals that are coming up the stage to share their passions. We have Lena I had practice. Give me one more chance, Lena. Lena Giacomopolis, and the Global Women's Leadership Network Director from the World Council of Credit Unions, and Mike Reuter, President of the Worldwide Foundation. I think he's trying to give this one. Okay.
Good morning. Thank you, I guess, last but not least. First of all, thank you. Now, we all have the same last name. You know what that means. Everybody has to learn how to spell that last name.
Yeah, well, there we go.
I think I thought a lot about the culture and the cult piece, right? I represent Global Women's Leadership Network, right? One of our programs at the foundation, right? It is about the global community, and for us, global community it should be in your culture. It should be a cult. Take it how you want. It's really, really about engaging, tuning into our communities, right? And the programs are one ways you can tune in, whether it is about empowering female leaders and helping them get to that next level. It is about fostering leadership and looking at the young professionals. You should all be bringing one here with you next year at least, so we can continue to change those numbers in the movement, or connecting through the DE. It's just tuning in is in any way you can. Globally, it is very, very important. It is also a way to learn from other systems, right? We come into contact with a lot of people. I'm going to share a quick story. I know we have limited time. A female leader, she is in the northern part of the Philippines. She took her team and they went and they met up with a group of individuals who were an indigenous population in the northern part of the country. They were making brooms. They were selling them, and they were taking the money that they were making and burying it in tin cans in the ground because they didn't know any better. So they opened accounts for them, and they helped them get encompassed into the system, right? This is really about truly people helping people. It is about the cooperative model, but more importantly, it is about empowering individuals to be the best that they can where they are and meeting them there. And it doesn't matter what country you're from or what culture you come from or which languages you speak. It truly is about the global cooperative system. So connect with us, engage with us, because global is all of us together, and it's much bigger than we really think it is, and it should start in our home shops. Mike.
Well said, Lena. We're all a part of this global cult. that we call our global credit union community, right? 412 million members worldwide, 87-ish thousand credit unions around the globe. You heard from our colleagues, Brian and Rafal, Lois and George, representing Poland and Africa. So many other regions around the world that we would love to have you tune into. We really think our global movement is this global orchestra, many instruments playing in harmony, coming together with resources, thought leadership, ways to engage. Global has a place at your organizations and within each and every one of you individually, and how you can help to sustain and support the global credit union system. And that can start at the World Council and the Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions. So thanks to Brandy, thanks to Sue and the Mitchell Stankovic and Associates and Underground team for having us. Thank you.